The Virginia Lottery's Live and Lucky with Luke Combs Scratcher and online game each give you a chance to enter to win a ticket to Nashville for a private Luke Combs concert, plus a chance to win $500,000 at the show. Pick up a $5 Live and Lucky with Luke Combs Scratcher at your local lottery retailer or play online. Plus, the online game gives you a chance to enter too. Winners will be flown to Nashville to watch Luke perform at the iconic Ryman Auditorium. For odds, game, and prize information, visit valottery.com/livinglucky. Play responsibly.
It's time for the VAQA. The VAQA. What you say? The VAQA with Mandi with VAQA and nobody else. It's just me this week, y'all. Riding solo. My girl Tiffany is on vacay, and we love that for her. I am holding it down this week on the VAQ&A, and I actually sang that song without burning with embarrassment, which I usually do because Tiffany does it better. But I am very excited. We've got a live member of the BA fam in the hot seat in the studio today with me to ask a question that honestly, I myself have struggled with as a new entrepreneur. And so for any of y'all who are 9 to 5, you have your 9 to 5, but you have some side hustle income on the side, which is fantastic. And we support that. And I think having additional streams of income is always great. But it's kind of like what they say is true, right? More money, more problems. And it is tax season. So our listener today, Maya, is here to ask a question about how she can take advantage of maybe some deductions or just how to approach her taxes for 2022. All right, so let's take a listen to Maya's question and then we'll get going.
So I have a 9 to 5, but I also have work outside of my 9 to 5. I guess you could call it a side hustle or side hustles, but I always struggle when it comes to tax time. And I feel like I'm not necessarily either writing off everything that I could be writing off or reducing my tax burden significantly so that it makes sense for me to be earning extra income. So one of my questions is, how do you reduce your tax burden when you do 1099 work? I still owe the feds from last year, and I'm pretty sure that I'm not going to get anything back this year when I do my taxes.
All right, Maya, welcome to Brown Ambition.
Hi, thank you.
Hey, Maya, I was giving her a little bit of, I was just teasing a little because you have the most fabulous last name. Lady Maya Pendleton of the DC Washington Pendletons.
It's very dramatic.
It's giving corsets, it's giving Bridgerton, it's giving, did you watch Bridgerton?
I don't, but I know what it is.
Dang, Maya.
I know.
All right,
I can't get into the, I don't know. It's too much.
So if I said I burned for you, you would have no idea what that meant. Okay,
no
that's fine.
Sorry.
That's fine. Hopefully, you're not here to talk about my Netflix dramas and rom-coms anyway. You are here to talk about your side hustle. So tell me a little bit about what you do on the side and how long you've been doing that for.
So I write on the side. I do research on the side. I've been doing that for about, I don't know, maybe 3 years. In addition to my full-time job. I really like the work, but it makes my taxes really difficult every year.
Every year. So you're a freelance writer?
Basically, yes.
Nice. I love that. What kind of writing do you do?
I write about racial justice, about abolition, about prison and policing.
Okay, so really uplifting stuff. That
yeah, very.
Brings a lot. No, but important stuff. No, that's fantastic. And as a journalist myself and as someone who has written for, definitely I write freelance now, I was like, this money is cute during the year, but then around January, February, you get those damn 1099s in the mail.
It's stressful.
And it's like, wait, I was excited to earn this money back in October and June, but now I'm like, when's this paper? And I just have this stack of because every time you earn, I think it's, what is it, more than $600?
Yeah, more than $600.
Then you get the contractor, the company that's paid you will deliver you a 1099. And it's not like it's the 1099 themselves is not stressful. It's just okay, so how do I include these on my income for the tax year? And then I know your question is how do I make deductions? How can I lessen my tax burden?
Exactly.
Because I do have this extra income. So let's start there. do you actually have a tax preparer or an accountant who you work with?
No, and that's the crazy part. So I just do it all myself, and I know that's
Maya?
probably, I know that's why I asked, because I was like, this is not
why? So tell me why, because I think
no
judgment, but why?
No. Before I was used to just, 9-to-5 taxes are very straightforward. Like, put in the numbers.
Oh, they're beautiful.
Right. You get the numbers back. It's fine. So I have been used to doing it that way. So I think like the first few years or 2 years, this would be like my third year of doing it. This is the first year I've been like, no, I got to get a handle on this. I was just like, well, it can't be but so hard. But then you owe a bunch of taxes. So it is hard.
Yeah, I know. My husband's like, remember the days we used to get tax refunds? And I'm like, babe,
I wish.
if you look at it, but that's almost like looking at it in a positive light. I think it takes away the fact that tax refunds aren't that awesome. I mean, they're great because it's like a little windfall, but it also means that you've been giving more money than you should have to the government all year long.
For sure.
Okay, so you don't have a tax professional that you're working with now. We're going to get to that. I'm wondering, have you been setting aside money throughout the year from your earnings?
No, that I
taxes?
do try to do. I
good.
Probably don't calculate that very well because, listen, I got the tax forms back and I was like, there's no way I made that much. And I didn't
right?
aside that amount of money. But I try to, at least do like 20 or 30% every time I get paid and put that in a savings account.
Okay. Yeah. And sometimes it's like when you get what I miss the most about being a W-2 worker is I used to just go to my payroll website and be like, withhold this, automate that. And then I wouldn't have to think about it. But when you're getting paid, you get checks and deposits, randomly throughout the year. You have to remember, okay, go in and transfer 25 or 30% into savings. And then sometimes that happens too late or after you spent it. So I get that 100%. And you hear often like one of the benefits of having a side business is that you do have the potential for deductions. And people make it seem so easy. Like, there's this idea that you can like buy a whole car and have that deducted and like can you deduct your mortgage and like all this stuff. And it's like a little too much. So to bring us back down to earth, the first thing I'll say is it's important to understand like what actually can be used to like reduce your taxable income as a business owner. So you're a writer, for example. I wonder, like, do you use any subscriptions for your business? Like writing software, transcription software, any business services that you rely on throughout the year for your business?
I don't. I just use the basics of like Wi-Fi, my laptop.
Wait, but a Wi-Fi?
Right.
So like Wi-Fi, there's a Wi-Fi and you work from home when you do the writing. Is that right?
I work from home.
Okay. Oh, this is one question I should have asked you. And by the way, I am not a tax professional. I'm just, your financial BFF in your head. So my first piece of advice should have been like, babes, you need to level up. We're going to find you a CPA. You got to do it.
Yes.
But no, I'm asking because, these home expenses, they can be a part of a deduction. Like, for example, I'm here in my Zen den. This is my basement essentially. And so there's like a calculation that my accountant helps me with where it's like, how much square footage is your house? How much of that square footage do you use for your business? And then like, let's say it's 20%, then like, and this is a rudimentary calculation. This is why we need these tax nerds to help us.
Yes.
But like 20% of my mortgage or 20% of my, my Wi-Fi or my, my cell phone expenses maybe can be deducted from my income because I work from home in that way. If you were traveling, which I don't think you are, but
sometimes.
Travel expenses.
Sometimes.
Okay.
I will go to a conference or like an in-person meeting. Yes.
Yeah. Conferences. So I went to a big conference in 2022. And you can deduct, you can definitely write off like your expenses for the conference, the travel, the food, the actual cost of like the admission. Also, one of the tips my accountant gave me for 2022 was go ahead and purchase any conferences you want to go to in the next year. Purchase them in 2022 so that it can go towards your write-offs for 2022. Now, I know it's a little late for that tip right now, but I'm just saying for future reference, if you know you're going to do something business wise, like go ahead and stack those expenses so that they're hitting you in the current tax year so that they can, go toward your like reducing your income now. Office supplies, do you have like printer paper, stuff like that?
That sounds crazy. I really don't. I got pens, notebooks, and a laptop.
That stuff, like if you have like even your computer, I know that maybe it's not, you didn't buy it last year, but if you're someone who's starting a side hustle, you want to buy a piece of equipment,
right.
Startup cost, that can be a part of something that you can reduce. I have some subscriptions to like media outlets, trade publications that I can stack up and include as well. So you don't use a car, but like there's stuff out there. The thing is, it feels cumbersome and like complex because it does take, I think, an expert to come in and really identify like, okay, according to this arcane tax regulation, how much of that can you deduct? And I think what gets sticky is when we try to do it ourselves. The thing about having a side business or additional income is I do feel like we are more susceptible to IRS audits.
Yes.
Right? So I think it becomes even more important to like get that stamp of approval from a tax professional and have that, even put that expense can be put into your business expenses for the year,
Right.
However much. I think my tax accountant, I think it's a few $100s for her to, maybe more, 500, something like that, for her to do my business taxes. But the peace of mind is just extraordinary. Are there any like specific concerns you have heading into 2022 that you're like, this might come up for me?
Yeah, I think my biggest thing is that my income increased and then the amount I earned outside of work also increased. So I just feel like I'm going to be hit with a wild tax bill.
Do you think you're going to be in a higher tax bracket?
Possibly, yeah.
Because of your freelance income?
Yeah.
Yeah, that can be an issue. Like if because what tax bracket you're in based on your salary, but then do you know like how much you earned in 2022, or do you have a bookkeeper or any kind of bookkeeping system?
I don't.
Maya. Okay.
I don't do.
We're going to get you together, girl. It's time to do them. You're a big girl. You got to do, okay?
Time.
Like, so there are some relatively simple bookkeeping systems. For example, I started with QuickBooks. Mm-hmm. It's, not that expensive. I feel like $30 to $40 a month, depending on what you get. And as long as you run your deposits and things, you connect your bank accounts, it'll keep track of what you have coming in. Now, a bookkeeper for me became really essential because it was hard to find a good accountant who wanted to work with me unless I had a bookkeeper. They don't mess around. Wow. They're like, and a bookkeeper will essentially, mine is a she, shout out to Tianu. They will once a month go through everything that you've had coming in, your expenses, and reconcile everything. And reconciliation is basically like, we understand where these expenses came from. We're going to categorize them and everything. And they put it in a pretty package for your accountant so they know that they have accurate records when they come to calculate your taxes. So even though we talk about like getting a tax accountant and a CPA, I think from my own experience, it should start with a good bookkeeper, So a bookkeeper, I would say, especially if you're going to continue this freelance income, makes a lot of sense for you to just have someone on your docket. And where would you feel like you could start if you were looking for a bookkeeper?
I'm pretty sure that my brother uses one. So I have family that keeps their finances together better than me that I can lean on, which is helpful.
I love that you said brother. So a trusted person who could recommend your bookkeeper. I found my bookkeeper. She's actually the spouse of one of Tiffany's former accountants. So I was like, do you know anybody? And I checked out her website. I interviewed her and had a great experience. And, I ended up going with her. I spend about $150. How much do I spend? I think I pay her quarterly. It might be like $400 or $500 per quarter for her to reconcile my books. We also use her for Brown Ambition. There is a national organization of bookkeepers as well. A lot of bookkeepers understand side hustlers because they themselves are doing it as a side hustle. They may be an accountant by day and then a bookkeeper on the side for extra income, or, a finance, like a payroll specialist for a company. And then on the side, they do bookkeeping. So I would definitely find you a bookkeeper first. And then the accountant. Even if you were wanting to work with an accountant for 2022 taxes, which are due right now, they're probably going to want heading in. They're going to be like, do you have a bookkeeper? Do you have a profit and loss statement for 2022 that I can, quickly go through?
Sure.
So I would do what you can to like get something like that ready.
Wow. This is great. Really helpful.
Okay. I feel like it's the kind of stuff you already know, but it's just like,
I don't think about it,
All right, BA fam, you are listening to the BAQA. We are going to take a quick break and be right back with more of your questions and our answers.
Stacking Benjamins with Joe and his good friend OG not only has great financial insight, it's laid back with humor too.
Guest Raymond Barker, author of Invisible Trillions.
The end of the post-war period, the ratio of executive pay to workers' wages was 20-1. Now, more than 350 to 1. Inequality will defeat the free market system unless we get it controlled and begin to reverse it.
The Stacking Benjamin Show, available on YouTube or wherever you listen.
Okay, BA fam, we are back answering more of your questions for the BAQA. Let's go. And the next thing to think about too is like you as a business owner. Oh, I forgot to ask, have you established yourself as an LLC?
So that was another part of my question was is it better to establish an LLC? Is it better, easier to get tax write-offs or deductions if you do that? Is that something that I should be doing? Because I've been thinking about that for a while now.
So you haven't established an LLC yet? Oh, dang. Okay. That is essential.
Yeah.
Yes, because for you to qualify for these business deductions, you have to have a business.
Right.
Right. So, okay. That changes a lot of things. I almost wish we could go back to the beginning. And in this case, I'm not exactly sure. I don't, my instinct says maybe the ship has sailed for business write-offs for you because you're not an LLC.
Right.
But I would say if the freelance income's been coming in, do you ballpark know how much you made in 2022?
In 2022, probably maybe 20 or 30,000.
Babes, you have a business.
Yeah. Well, it didn't start as that. That was,
I know it didn't.
My best
year. Out of control.
It started as small, I don't know, 5K, 4K, and then it grew.
Yeah. No, it's okay. Better late than never. But I feel 1,000% start you an LLC so that you can take advantage of this in 2023. Honestly, that kind of reduces some of the pressure because I don't know that there's much that can be done for you to go back and get tax write-offs. At this point, I'm not a tax professional, so that's a good question for a CPA.
Sure.
Let me see. For sure, you should, when you're an LLC, then you can decide if you want to be a single member LLC, which it sounds like you're probably in that kind of place. It doesn't sound like you're earning enough to be an S corp at this point.
Yeah.
Just start there. Start somewhere. Treat yourself like the business that you are, because for sure you're doing well.
Great. I've been thinking about all of this, so it's good to hear it and get confirmation.
Yeah. How old are you? Do you mind me asking?
I'm 30. Just turned 30.
That's awesome. I just love having, an extra 20 to 30K coming in. That's fantastic, and I feel like the tax part of it, it just sours everything when you have to deal with the additional stress of it. And you're like, dang, do I even want this life?
No, it does.
I think you do.
I do.
Yeah.
I do want it. I would love to eventually move to having my own business, but this time of year, it gets wow, did I really earn that much? Let me go back and look.
Yeah. And when you get a CPA too, they can help you decide, for example, one of the things that my CPA does is advise how much I should contribute for retirement, based on my income and the retirement contributions as well. It's a huge part of one of the benefits of having a business is, there are types of accounts you can open, a self-employed, SEP IRA or a solo 401k like I have now. And you can actually use your extra income to invest for your future.
I love that.
Yeah. All right. So how are we going to get you a CPA? What do you feel like your next steps are there?
Okay. Next steps are to get a CPA ASAP. I'm either going to use
ASAP.
Whoever.
Well, bookkeeper.
Bookkeeper.
Yeah.
CPA. Well,
you can
comes first? Because I feel like taxes are due in a little
more than a month.
So yes, this is true. You can file an extension. Like if you want, you can file an extension. I didn't file, my accountant did.
Yeah.
Because I was like kind of a mess and I missed a deadline, and she's like, it's fine. Everyone files extensions. Let me file you an extension. So that's been done. So you could file an extension on your individual taxes if you wanted to. Right. Let me see while you're trying to find, because taxes are due when, like mid-April. Okay, yeah. It doesn't, now the thing with a tax extension that can be a little wonky is it doesn't actually stop when you would owe your taxes.
Right.
It's just basically like, it's annoying. I know. But it's like, so you can,
if you didn't do it.
because we're all supposed to be mathematicians, Maya. But I would do both at the same time. Like try to find you a bookkeeper, because you're going to need them anyway. And then find a CPA, an accountant who, and this is the thing, like it's fine to go to family, but I would definitely go to accountants who actually work with like 9-to-5 entrepreneurs and understand that whole, really intimately. They're not just like a tax preparer or an enrolled agent. Like they can probably process W-2s and things like that, but do they have the level of sophistication to be able to work with someone, with business income? That's another question.
Yeah.
And you may even be fine, because I know it's a lot, like 20K, 30K, whatnot, but you may even be fine using like whatever software you've been using so far. Cause they have the fields for you to fill in, like upload your 1099s and what did you make and all that. And it will probably trigger like you never know, but it may trigger like a tax that you owe.
Mm-hmm.
I know you said you're paying on taxes from a previous year already.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you may need to like get on a payment plan for that or something, but like let this be the last year that happens.
Yes.
That's
the goal.
Know better, do better kind of thing.
I love it. I have next steps and goals.
Okay, good. And let me see, what else can I say? I found my accountant through a referral of a friend who is exactly like you. Mm-hmm. She works in New York. So that's the thing. Like I couldn't refer her to you because you're based in Virginia, right?
DC.
Or DC.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you want to find people who are licensed and able to work with you in your state. So I would start with also like even us being a part of your community there. Like if you have I know we have chambers of commerce, but if there's networking groups for women entrepreneurs in the DC area or just entrepreneurs in general, like they can be a great source of information. I'm sure there's a Facebook group out there where where you can check and see. I'm sure someone's already asked this question. Anybody know any good accountants? Like I'm in a crunch, and, start reaching out and dedicate that time to it. And I'm not going to make it seem like immediately you'll feel like, oh, I have everything figured out. Yeah. I'm on year 2 and I'm like finally feeling like, okay, after this year, I think I'm going to have it all together, of working with a CPA. It's just normal. And it's like getting through the growth period. Just can be a little tricky.
With anything I've learned with working with finances or getting your finances together is that you got to be patient. It takes time.
It does. And like one of the reasons I love my accountant, her name's Safi, is because she is a lot easier on me than I am on myself. Like she'll kind of tell me like, Mandi, everyone's filing an extension. You're not a failure. You didn't mess up. Like it's fine. I've seen worse. And that can help. Like that helps me with my anxiety around it too. Just like hearing from an expert that I'm not the craziest like that they've ever seen. And I wish you all the best. I hope this was helpful, or at least the kick in the butt you needed.
It was. You got me together.
Get it together, girl. You still have some time, okay?
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Thanks so much for letting me chat with you and for submitting your question to BA. Anything else you want to say before we let you go?
That's it. I will say that my friends are really big fans of this podcast, so they were super excited I was going to talk to you.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Are they the ones who were like, Maya, submit a question to BA?
I asked them, I was like, oh, what should I ask? And they helped me brainstorm. But one of my friends, she has the Get Good with Money book. She listens to the podcast. She's a big fan.
Oh, she's a dream catcher. Awesome. Well, I hope you will continue to be a fan. But regardless, best of luck. You're so not alone. Just one step at a time, okay?
Thank you so much.
All right, lady. Thank you. All right, BA fam, we will see you next time. If you want to have a question and potentially a question answered by us, or even potentially be on the show with us live in the studio, you know what to do. Go to Brown Ambition Podcast on IG and you could submit a voice note there with like a 60-second version of your question. And you may hear from our producer and be invited to the show. I am Mandi Woodruff-Santos. We'll see y'all next week for more BAQA. Hey, BA fam, we could not do this show without your support or the support of our team behind the scenes. The Brown Ambition podcast is produced by Imani Crosby, and Dennis Stemplinski is our in-house tech guru. I am your co-host, Mandi Woodruff-Santos, and we will see y'all next week, BA fam.